Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for joining our Rubrik Palo Alto session. My name is Chef Appels. I'm the Business Development Manager for Rubrik in Belgium and Luxembourg. And I'm joined here today by Frans Schouten, my Dutch colleague, and Matthias Massé. He's our system engineer for the data center solutions. Frans will give you an overview of Palo Alto Cortex, and afterwards I'll pick up with Rubrik, and Matthias will provide you with an integration demo between Palo Alto and Rubrik. First of all, for those of you who don't know Exclusive Networks, we're a global distributor. We're worldwide, and what we try to do is help our partners and end users with any cybersecurity questions or infrastructure questions. And we try to propose them some innovative solutions and try to help them with some professional services as well. We really try to focus on those services. Can be a training, maybe a leasing proposal, worldwide shipment or project we can manage for you or we can help you out with. We also launched our new XOD platform recently, which is a subscription-based platform. So if you have any questions about that, we're more than happy to help you out. And with that, I'll give it over to Frans, who will give you an introduction into Palo Alto. Frans, take it away.
Thank you. As Jeff said, my name is Frans Schouten. I am account manager for Exclusive Networks Netherlands. I'm mainly responsible for Palo Alto networks within the group, and I'm gonna give you a small introduction into Cortex XSOAR, and so you know why the combination is such a good idea in the end of Rubrik and Palo Alto. If you could move on to the next slide, Jeff, then. Now, why has security become so important? We see more and more threats, and they are becoming more and more sophisticated. If you see the climbing coming up from the amount of threats coming from the start of this century till the current present, it's an insane growth. And yeah, the crooks, they get more and more sophisticated, they get more and more intelligent. So the defense you need to protect yourself also needs to be more and more intelligent and more sophisticated. So what are the challenges a security team faces? There are too many alerts, there's too much noise, you don't know where to look, there's too many things coming from too many different products. There's too many different products that function independently of each other, so you have to look into way more different portals, different structures, different backends to see what alerts are coming in and what to do as a response to those alerts. And then on response of that, there's way too many manual repetitive actions needed because they are not automated on the back end. Every single step that you need to do is a manual response to an alert that you're receiving. And that's where XSOAR comes in. So this slide shows the complexity of all the point products that a SOC has to deal with. You have your SIEM, your EDR, your NTA, and your cloud environment. And you have to keep track and correlate them all together. And that's a very complex and intense structure and situation for the IT department to actually make sure that all that information is being collected correctly and everything is being investigated and responded to correctly. So to protect yourself against today's threats, the efficiency of your platform must increase. Because of this, automation has become a must. Because with automation, your efficiency goes up and your mean time to respond goes down. And that's what we all want in the end. So then you get the unique approach of Cortex. The whole Cortex suite uses all your data, your analytics, and offers the possibility to apply automation to realize a proactive response. And that's what Cortex does for you. So Cortex consists of two solutions. You have Cortex XDR and Cortex XSOAR. Within XDR, there is the endpoint protection agent to protect as much as possible in preventive state. When this fails, the things you can prevent will be detected and investigated as quickly as possible. In addition on that, you have Cortex XSOAR, which can ensure that the response to these alerts will be automated and handled correctly. Here you can see an overview of the entire Cortex platform for all your SecOps SOC needs. So from investigated response to case management to endpoint to real-time collaboration, it's all in the Cortex platform suite. So then, what does SOAR stand for? SOAR stands for Security, Orchestration, Automation, and Response. You have the orchestration, which includes the playbooks, the runbooks, the workflow. Then you have the automation, which includes the automated scripts to speed up the process and automate repetitive tasks. And then in response, you deal with case management, reporting, and analysis to reflect how fast you can fix these issues. As the alerts come in, a playbook is started based on the alert. In this way, the incident remains clear to the analyst. That way, the analyst can work together in real time and see if the automation is doing its job properly. Alerts and threat intel feeds come in from various sources. A playbook will be assigned to these and then fed back to a third-party tools such as a SIEM, assets, people, or a specific API. Here you can see a screenshot of what a playbook looks like. Cortex XSOAR is a workflow automation engine. It is a product that makes work more efficient by helping you respond quickly to incidents at the larger scale. Cortex is also a ticketing system to track incidents and keep track of them, so that you can always look back what happened, where it happened, and who handled these cases. So it's an easy way to track any incident that happened within your network. Also, there's a collaboration platform in which you can set up a war room to work together and in this way resolve the incidents as quick as possible. There are many different use cases, from phishing response to threat hunting. This picture shows the depth of the products and what it can all do for you. To reduce the whole story to 3 benefits for Cortex XSOAR. You standardize your process. It reduces response time to incidents with automation. And it coordinates actions regardless of which source it comes from. So I want to thank you for your time. This was my short introduction in XSOAR. I'm going to give the word back to Jeff, who is going to talk a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Frans, for the introduction into Palo Alto Cortex. Before I go on with the part of Rubrik, just want to mention, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A tab, and we'll have a look at them at the end of the presentation. So Rubrik, I'll give you a high-level overview of what Rubrik and who Rubrik is, and then Matthias will pick up with the demo afterwards. So what is Rubrik? Rubrik is a company founded in 2014, and by now they have more than 2,500 customers worldwide. It's a single software fabric, which means that all the intelligence and all the features are incorporated in the software into one platform. They're often called the cloud data management company, which does not mean that they're only available in the cloud or only work with the cloud. No, it's also an on-premise solution, but they're really cloud friendly and can work really well with all kinds of cloud services. A few challenges in data protection, data security that customers are facing, for example, inefficient operation, cloud mobility, or the lack of data assurance. These are all kinds of things that Rubrik can help you with. But another important thing is that a lot of customers are working really into silos, and that can sometimes lead to the loss of data control or a low data security. For example, your infrastructure team, they work with backup software, some backup proxies, maybe even some tape or an offsite archive. And the same goes for your application teams. They have databases to back up. They might have some different data migration tools, different services to manage their Oracle, SAP, or SQL environments. And the same goes for your cloud teams. They have different tools for different cloud environments. And all those different tools and all those different people working on it make it really complex and costly, and can also prevent you from having a good insight in your entire environment. And that's where Rubrik comes in with their approach to data management and data security. What Rubrik does is they can connect to your private cloud or data center, to your remote branches, and even to your public cloud environments. And Rubrik comes in different flavors. First of all is the easy plug and play Rubrik appliance, but you can also load the software onto a third-party hardware. We have a virtual edition called Edge for Robo and a cloud-native SaaS solution. So all those old systems, legacy systems that some customers use, they don't work really well with the cloud. Automation is not that easy, and security is often complex or not easy to manage. And that changes with Rubrik because it's a single software and provides complete data management and data security in your own data center, but also in the public cloud or your private cloud. Aside that, Rubrik comes, as you can see, in an appliance. And as your production environment grows, you can also grow your Rubrik environment by easily adding some bricks and scale out your environment. So what's included? How does it work? In a few steps, really easy. You can just rack the appliance and go, and Rubrik will auto-discover your production environment, start backing up really, really fast. You can really easily set up some SLA policies. I think Matthias will show you later on how that works. Once everything is backed up and something may fail in your production environment, for example, a VM goes down, Rubrik can live mount that VM onto your production environment so you can keep on working, and in the background, the VM will be restored. You can also choose to really granularly restore a certain file by just typing, searching for a file, really like if you were looking for something in Google, for example. It really works quite the same. Of course, it's a secure appliance, a secure software solution. It has end-to-end encryption, and it's an immutable file system. And as mentioned, it works really well with the cloud, and you can connect to the cloud with Cloud Out for backup archiving, for example, or for some cloud instantiation and start some applications in the cloud if you want. Beside that, Rubrik has a lot of additional security features bundled into Rubrik Polaris. I'll quickly mention a few of them. The first one is GPS, which is the management. It's one console, one platform to manage all your Rubrik clusters and cloud environments. Radar is the ransomware detection and remediation tool. That's the one that Matthias will be showing you in the demo later on. You can also protect your Office 365 environments or your large scale AWS or Azure environments with cloud app protection. And then we have AppFlows, which is quite new, which is an automated disaster recovery orchestration tool. And last but not least is Sonar, which is the data classification. So you can look in your backup data, what kind of data do I have in my environment? Is there any sensitive data into it? For example, credit cards or personal data. So that can really help you to be compliant with data privacy regulations, for example. So what if we need to recover from our environment? I haven't mentioned it before, but it's quite important, is that Rubrik is an API-first platform. It can plug into automation frameworks, and of course, as we will show you later on, with Palo Alto XSOAR. So you can also see on a really detailed basis if there's any impact or any problem in your environment, which files or which servers or which VMs are impacted and where they're impacted. You can really filter and choose at which level you want to recover those files or servers. Besides that, as I mentioned, it's an immutable system, and instant recovery is only a click away, which makes it really fast to get you back up and running. And that are the main differences that Rubrik can offer you. But these are things that Matthias will now show you in the upcoming demo. By that, I will hand it over to Matthias.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So I will be providing a demo of our integration, and to make it more interesting, I not only added Rubrik and Palo Alto in the mix, but also a little bit of Nutanix as well, just to show you an entire workflow. I'll basically go through everything that I set up for this demo, so you have an understanding of how the environment was built up and how we do the demo. So if we look first here, we have our Nutanix environment, where I have one specific VM running, which is used in this specific demo. So it's the Radar 01 VM. This VM contains file share with about 4,000 or 5,000 files, which gets encrypted and generates an anomaly detection. Besides that, we have our Rubrik cluster, in which we protect that specific file set. So if we take a look at our Windows host, then we will see the Radar VM and this specific file set, which is backed up. So if we take a look at this one, you see that the E drive is included. So if we take a look further, we see all the backups being taken. And for example, the backup of today, if we take a look in it, we will see that we can browse the file system. So this is something that will come back in the Polaris demo as well, where we can go deep into the folder and get all the data back. So basically, what we did, this is the Polaris interface. So Jeff talked about GPS. So GPS is actually a global overview of all your Rubrik clusters. So in this case, I have only one cluster in my demo lab, but we get a general overview of everything that's happening on my Rubrik platform as well. What we said about Radar is that it does analysis. So it analyzes your backup sets. So if we take a look here, we can see that we have one anomaly event detected. So that's the one I triggered yesterday. But if we go and look further, we can see that, let me just go down. You have the Radar analysis. So basically, radar analysis happens on every single object that's being backed up. So whether it's a Nutanix VM, it's a VMware VM, it's a file set, it's a database, basically everything that's a backup object will be analyzed. If radar says, okay, I see some strange things going on, then we'll go further. What I need to mention about this solution is that this is very interesting. If your anti-malware or your malware or your encryption ransomware has already passed your parameter. So this is kind of a last resort, because if Rubrik detects anomalies, detects ransomware, then it means that it passed all your previous detection methods. So it passed your firewall, your endpoint agent, and it got so far that it could encrypt files on your server and back them up as well. So basically, that's something to keep in mind, that this is more like a last resort if everything else fails, which is also important, because even though it passed all your other previous steps, Rubrik can still see that something happened on your environment. In this case, if we take a look to the specific SLA domain, I have one specific for radar. Basically, the backup frequency determines how quickly you can detect ransomwares if it passed all your other security devices. So if you have a backup policy that backs up every 1 hour, then it takes approximately, worst case, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half before detection of the ransomware is done. For example, if you have a policy that says 4 hours, then worst case, it's 4.5 hours before detection happens. So this is something to take into account, that it's not instant, but it's reactive analysis of everything that happens. If we then go and look at the specific event, so I'll just go back to my main dashboard. So I see one anomaly event is detected. That's the one I did. If you see here, I did some tests, because live demos are always interesting, and you need to test them properly. So basically, what we see here is, so we have an anomaly event which has been detected, and then we have our analysis page. So basically, you see here that we also started the radar analysis for a specific snapshot. But because they detected a large amount of changes, they said, okay, we're going to do a detailed encryption analysis, which is the next step. And basically what happens is Polaris is telling the Rubrik cluster to do a ransomware detection job on that specific snapshot. So it's not something that you need to upload data to the cloud, which has a negative impact on the time needed to detect the ransomware attack. But it instructs the cluster, which has direct access to the snapshots, to do the analysis. Then we get the radar analysis back from the Rubrik cluster, and then we can say, okay, we have a high confidence that there is anomalous file system activity with high levels of encryption. So what we see here is we have about 1,500 files that were added and about the same amount that were removed. So basically, that's the telltale sign of a crypto locker, which takes a file, encrypts it with mostly another extension, and removes the old one. If you then go and look in the timeline, which is very interesting, okay, basically because this is a demo server, during the week nothing is happening, but in a normal use case scenario, you can see, okay, today there were 10 files deleted, 100 created, 5 modified, and we have a baseline of normal file changes that happen on that specific server. And then we go and look at this specific event, and then we will see, okay, instead of 0 or 10 or 100 file changes, we have almost 2,000 file changes. So that's something that triggers the anomaly detection. And that's what the AI and the machine learning do. They set a baseline of how your file system normally behaves, how much changes you normally have on a given day, and it sets its thresholds based on that specific data, and that's unique for every backup object. So, if, for example, if you have a share which has dumps of data which are coming in from different kinds of sensors. Then you have a lot of file changes, files added, but the baseline will be much higher as well. What we can do from this side, so if we look at Radar itself, we can go and investigate the snapshot. So purely all web-based, SaaS-based, so you have nothing running locally. We see that we have a lot of changes, but a small change in file size, which is typically for encryption. But what we can do is we can click through, and the same as we saw in the Rubrik interface, we can click through the file system, even though it's online in the cloud. They all have the metadata, so they can rebuild the directory structure, and you can easily go in and check which files were modified as well. So here we see this file was modified, and this one was added with another encryption, so we tag it as a suspicious file. From here, we can take action as well. And we have several options we can do here. We can download it, export to a different host, overwrite the original, or recover. It all depends on how you want to act. So basically, this is how the Rubrik Polaris part works. If we then go to XSOAR, XSOAR is actually an automation tool that's based on integration packs. So if you go to the marketplace, or content packs in this case, we have different kinds of content packs, I think 650 in total. So what we did was, in this specific case, we installed the Rubrik one, but I need to plug this one. So we have the Rubrik Polaris content pack. So what does it do? It ingests all the events that we saw in Radar, puts it in XSOAR, so we can have an analysis on it and maybe have automated actions. Besides this one, I also installed the Nutanix pack as well. How we go and configure that? Well, that's pretty easy. If I go look here, we can add an instance. So basically, you have an instance, you have some accounts that you need to fill in. So I'll just show the one I filled in already. So I gave it a name. I made all the necessary details. So I just use my username. How much does it need to fetch? How fast does it need to fetch? Basically, when this is done, you can test it, and if everything works out, then it will get all the events from Polaris as well. Then for the Nutanix integration, I added my cluster locally. So basically, I also added all the necessary details to do the connection, and everything panned out as well. So we could use Nutanix as well. If we then go and look at the dashboard, then we see that there are 3 critical incidents, because I've been testing a lot for this specific webinar as well. If we go to the critical events, you will see here, these were my tests from previous days, but especially for you guys, I added a new one so you can see the entire workflow as well. So basically, we had the anomaly event come in yesterday evening at 5 p.m. But I haven't taken any action yet. So what you can do is you ingest the incident, and based on certain criteria, because this is a critical one, you can notify your SOC team to do the analysis. So basically, now what I'm doing, I'm playing the role of the analyst. So I go in the specific incident, I will check everything, because I want to have a human checking everything, making sure that this is correct, and take the necessary actions as well. So basically what we have here is an incident with all the details. So basically we have all the details that come from the Rubrik Polaris incident. So we know which object it concerns, which cluster, what kind of objects. In this case, it was a Windows file set, but it could be a Nutanix VM, a VMware VM, it could be a NAS share. All the different types of events that are possible can be linked here as well. Then we have the case details. So basically, we can see which type of content pack was used to do the classification, from which source instance it came, and which playbook it needs to run by default. If we can go and look here at the event timeline, basically all the data that we saw in Polaris, in the radar event, in the anomaly event, we can see here again. So for your SOC person, your analyst, they don't need access to Polaris to be able to see what was happening and what Polaris saw. So they can see all the necessary data right in here. They don't have access to do the snapshot investigation at this moment, but they have all the necessary information as well. What I did in this specific use case was, okay, we ingest the incident, and I made a playbook. And that playbook requires an analyst to check the event. Once the event has been checked and he says, okay, this is effectively a ransomware attack, he needs to confirm it. When that's confirmed, in the background, we take the Polaris object name, we extract the VM name from that object name, and we take action. And in this case, the action is shutting down the specific VM. So if we can go look at the work plan, so this playbook is triggered automatically. So this is a standard playbook. Basically what it does, it fetches the incident, then it does the analysis, and it waits until everything is updated. Once it's final, and the analysis is complete, the radar analysis, then it will update the incident dashboard with the proper classification, whether it's a critical, a warning, or an information as well. In this specific use case, I added my own playbook. So basically what this does, I'll just open it here, is we will wait for analyst confirmation. In this case, I need to add a note, mark it as completed, and then the next step will be taken automatically. So in this case, we will get all the VMs from Nutanix. We will extract the machine name from the Polaris name. So in this case, because it's a very simple demo, what we did is we took the Rubrik Polaris object name and we replaced the dash file shares. So basically this part, we cut from the object name and we were left with the BTL Radar 01, which is our VM name. If we then go to the next step, this is a standard Nutanix playbook. I'll go back. What this playbook needs is the UID of the VM. So what we do here is we get the VM UUID based on the name we extracted from the Polaris object name. And then the action we will take is an off transition. So we will not do a proper shutdown because in this case, you want to shut it down as fast as possible. So if we go back to the incident. So I'm an analyst, I did my analysis and I say, okay, this is a proper ransomware attack. I will need to take action. I can just click here. I say, this is ransomware, action needs to be taken. Now we'll mark this as complete. And now we will see here that we'll run all the tasks in the background. So probably by now, if we go and look at the VM, has been shut down. Go look at the task, and then we will see the power state, and this is right now, it has been shut down. Once we wait, I think this waits times out after a minute. We'll just let it run like this. If we go to the war room, then the war room is basically an overview of everything that's been happening for this specific incident. So if we go all the way to the top, then we will see, okay, we opened the incident and we let the playbook run. And in here, you can see all the details of the specific incident that we retrieved from the Polaris incident. And basically, we will see here that everything what the automation bot, the bot in this case, is doing with that specific incident. So we can see that the field changes happening. So basically, these are all the specific event messages that are being injected into the XSOAR platform as well to have a nice overview. If we go further, then we will see here that we are starting to do the Nutanix part. So basically here we will get the cluster UUID, get all the details from the VMs, and we will do the shutdown of the VM. If we wait here, I think it should be almost done by now. It's just timing out, so I probably need another minute or so before it updates. So this basically shows you the power of what you can do with automation. So in this case, it's a very simple demo. Right here we see it. You're awesome, everything is complete. So if we open the work plan, everything works out, and everything that we wanted to do in this specific case has been done. So basically, the analyst, he didn't need access to the Polaris SaaS application. He didn't need access to the Nutanix cluster, but he could take action immediately without needing somebody else to do specific actions. So the time to action, time to effectively do something to remediate the ransomware attack, in this case, is very quickly, because you just need one analyst who does the analysis, says, okay, we need to take action, and everything else follows as well. This is a very basic demo as well, but it shows you the power. For example, what you could do in this case is, we have a Polaris event coming in, we can extract the server name. Based on the server name, we can pull to other systems as well. We can check with, for example, our endpoint protection software to see if they found something, and take all that information and ingest it and inject it into this specific incident. So you get an overview not only of the Polaris event, but also from something that your endpoint sees. Another thing that, for example, can be done is say, okay, we have a specific event, I have the VM name, so I have its source IP, I have the IP of the VM. I can check my firewall and says, okay, which sessions to external IPs are open? Because most cases, ransomware has a command and control server running in the cloud somewhere. Basically, you can check which sessions are open and take those IP addresses. You can do a check on whitelisting, graylisting, because you don't want to block good traffic. And based on that, you can make a playbook that automatically blocks those specific IPs on your firewalls, not only for that specific VM, but for your entire environment. So you can more quickly take action that impacts your entire infrastructure as well. So although this was very limited, there are a lot of things that you can do here as well, and you can write your own playbooks as well, because this one was a simple one that I made as well. But I hope this shows you the power of what you can do with XSOAR and how you can link different products together and make a first-class automated SOC tool, so you can take quick and good action on everything that happens on your environment as well. I hope this was very interesting for you guys. If you want to see something more, if you want to have a more specific demo, please feel free to contact us, and we will be more than glad to help you out. And I hope you enjoyed the demo. And then I will give it back to Jeff for some closing.
Thank you, Matthias, for the demo. Let me quickly check if we have any questions. No, I don't see any questions in the Q&A box. But as Matthias mentioned, if you have any questions or you want to see some more of the demo, want some more information, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. And with that, we'll stop the webinar here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.